Hello, everyone, and welcome to another community conversation on the health crisis in WH.
Share all the resources of personnel.
That's a great
Another
question,
element
and I would
is
direct them to the
thinking outside the box, trying to come up with new ways
And
of
as you
moving.
already mentioned, the city is
Let's try to keep these numbers from doubling.
At over 33, it's really important that Untitled Chapter.
First, I want to say thank you for inviting me to the show.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another community conversation right here on Facebook Live. I'm Mayor Eric Pappenfuss, and we've got a very special show for you today. Next week on Wednesday is Veterans Day, and we thought it would be good to do a show on veterans in the city of Harrisburg. What type of outreach is there for our veterans? Are there any new projects in the pipeline? And we're going to profile some veterans that work for the city of Harrisburg. It should be a really interesting show. We're going to be joined from the Ywca by Ashley McNeely, who's the Veterans Team Leader, and Abigail Bush, who's the Supportive Services for Veteran Families Case Manager. We are also pleased to be joined today by distinguished spokesperson, Brigadier General retired Wilbur Wolff for the Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania, and the president and co-founder Thomas W. Zimmerman of that group, and a board member, Joanne Tresco. And we're going to talk about a really exciting new project that maybe you haven't yet heard about, but is coming down the pike here for Harrisburg. And we're joined by two city employees who are veterans, and maybe not in the departments you would normally think of, like police and fire, where we have a lot of veterans. But we have Emily Farron, who is our assistant city solicitor in the Law Bureau. She'll talk about her experiences and what she's doing for the city. And we are also pleased to be joined by Evan Rubin, who is the GIS administrator for the city of Harrisburg in our IT department. And he's going to show you some of the things that he does and what this GIS is all about. It's fascinating stuff, and we're going to have a great conversation today. I want to begin, though, as always, with a few general announcements. And I think we should start by thanking the Dauphin County Bureau of Elections for the good work which they and all their workers and all the many volunteers and poll workers did here in Dauphin County. I know it's been a stressful and trying time for a lot of people as the results have come in, but in Dauphin County we did extremely well. We were professional. We got the votes counted quickly, and our results were known very early on in the process, and that's a real tribute to the whole group and everybody working together. Our own Neil Grover, our city solicitor, has been one of the watchers, one of the lawyers watching the count in Dauphin County. He's been giving me updates over the course of the week, and he has nothing but positive things to report. So good job, Dauphin County. Obviously, we're going to learn from this experience in Pennsylvania, maybe make some changes for how we do this in the future. But here in Dauphin County, we've got a lot to be pleased with. Also, wanted to say again that on a positive note, if you have a street tree and you are in the city of Harrisburg and can't afford to have that tree removed, maybe it's out there by the curb, it's kicking up the sidewalk, and it's been a nuisance. We have a program now where we are taking those trees down and pruning those trees at no cost if you qualify. And you can learn more about our street tree program at harrisburgpa.gov/trees. It's a first-come, first-served program. We're trying to take as many down as we can between now and the end of the year. It's a good time to do this work, so please contact the city if you're interested in taking advantage of that. Next week, we'll talk about a specific tree planting program that's happening in the Camp Curtin neighborhood of Harrisburg, along with other topics. So trees are very much on everyone's mind. In more sobering news, I have to report the latest BioBot data, and as I explain every week, BioBot is the name of the company which monitors Harrisburg's wastewater system to detect the prevalence of the COVID-19 virus. It's actually a very interesting and accurate way to determine exactly where we are, because it doesn't rely on people actually being tested for data. It's something that we all share in, and it is clearly showing a spike. If you look at the graph, you'll see in November we are way up. In fact, we're all the way up to where we were in the highs of the summer, and this is disappointing. We've been tracking this, as you know, from watching the show throughout October. We've seen it going up slowly, but it is up, which just means that we all have to continue to remain very, very vigilant. Don't take anything for granted. Continue to take the precautions of washing your hands, wearing a mask, being socially distant, and realize that we're also in cold and flu season. So if you haven't gotten that flu shot, get your flu shot, and realize that the flu shot will protect you from getting the regular flu. And sometimes those symptoms are so similar, it's hard to tell the difference. And if you don't want to have to get a COVID shot or to quarantine yourself, a COVID test or quarantine yourself, then you want to get that flu shot. That graph, which I showed you, is also particularly troubling when you drill down on the data. And we are, in comparison to the other hundreds of municipalities that are tested, our concentration levels are 92% higher than anyone else, which means we're basically off the chart there. And it represents an estimated average of 95 new cases a day in the Harrisburg area. So 95 new cases a day is what that graph is showing and representing, and that's the highest it's been, again, since the summer. So everybody, please take care and be careful. A couple city project updates I'd like to give you, and we're going to start with, can we start with the lighting on State Street moment, if you could bring that one up? Sure. But as many of you know, we've been working as part of our Vision Zero plan to improve pedestrian safety along State Street. Our workers have been out replacing all of the lights with newer bulbs. If you look at that graphic and you look to the left, you can see the new globe, which is much bigger. The wattage is much higher. It disperses the light differently than the old globe, which was more historic and it wasn't designed for an LED bulb. This is going to result in a much brighter and safer State Street. We also have new Cobra headlights going in at several intersections as well. So the lighting is the first step. Then the reorientation of the road will happen in the spring. That's a partnership with PennDOT. And lots of changes to come. But we want to let people know those lights are in. So check them out this weekend. They should all be installed, and you can see them. This is similar to the new lighting that's being installed on Market Street, same type of lighting. So if you've noticed work there, maybe when you were dropping off your ballot, you said, what are these folks doing with the lights? They're improving the brightness and visibility of our lights. A couple other projects you should know about that are going on in the city. One is the Market Street bus terminal, which we see every day because we're right across there at City Hall. This is also a pedestrian-oriented safety improvement project, which is going to make it easier for people to cross the street and get around in there. There's a whole bunch of new improvements. And then, quite excitedly, if you were to go up 4th Street in Midtown Harrisburg, or the border of Midtown and Uptown, you come to the 4th and Dauphin Playground. And that is our final complete park renovation that we're doing in partnership with Capital Region Water, DCD, DCNR, and it's as you can see, the old playground is gone, and the new playground, which will be coming soon, is going to be a complete transformation. It's going to be ADA accessible. It's going to be wonderful. And the other playgrounds that we renovated last year have all been terrific improvements for the community. Wanted to share those pictures with you. Those are courtesy of project manager Ambrose Buck, who has been constantly watching these projects and giving us regular updates. Just a quick reminder that since Wednesday is Veterans Day, City Hall will be closed. So keep that in mind. We're closed on November 11th. And City Council this week is virtual and on schedule for Tuesday, November 10th. And this will be the vote on Bill 8. And Bill 8 is the proposed community review board, advisory board for the community for the Harrisburg Police Department. It's generated a lot of commentary, many meetings, and many amendments. But I believe Council has scheduled the vote, and this will be the final chance for public comment on that bill. So that's coming up here on Tuesday. And then next Friday, for our community conversation, we will return to the topic that really began these community conversations. We're going to talk about community policing, and we're going to unveil some of our new initiatives, and we're going to give you some feedback on the 8 Can't Wait initiative, which was the redrafting of our use of force policy here in the city. So policing, with a little bit of positive tree news, will be the topic for next week's community conversation on Facebook Live. Wonderful. So now let's turn to our guests, and we're going to start, as I said before, with the YWCA. We have Ashley McNeely and Abigail Bush there to talk to us a little bit about how the YWCA helps veterans and helps veterans get the help that they need here in Dauphin County. So, Ashley or Abigail, either one of you can start and begin, but let's talk a little bit about where someone can go to get help for veterans right here in the city and in the county.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for having us here this afternoon. We're really excited to be talking with you and the community and getting some information out there for veterans who may be in need of assistance. The most common place that a veteran should start would be the Dauphin County Office of Veterans Affairs, which is right on 2nd Street. That's going to be the place where a veteran should go to get that process started of anything that they're looking for assistance with, benefits, anything like that, getting connected to VA services. All of that would be the perfect place for them to start. If it is a veteran who is homeless or at risk of homelessness, they need to be coming to us here at the YWCA.
Yeah, and also we do outreach at Bethesda Mission as well. So if on Tuesdays from 10 to 12, so if a homeless veteran is in need of services, they're welcome to sign up on the list to meet with us, and we can help provide services as necessary. There's someone from the VA as well, so they can get connected to all necessary resources.
Thank you. That's good to know. So we're going to talk in a minute here about an exciting project that is geared to help our homeless veteran population, and you've referenced it already. But can we start by quantifying it? Do you have a sense of the numbers for how many homeless veterans we have right here in the city and the region?
Yeah. So Dauphin County, we have a veterans by name list that is run in partnership with the Capital Area Coalition on Homelessness. We do a bi-weekly conference call where we'll review all identified homeless veterans in the city and in the county. I'd say there's roughly about 30 or so homeless veterans that have identified themselves between being in the shelter, on the streets, in our programs. Then obviously there's also those that haven't reached out for services, so that there are other veterans and we are willing to help them if they reach out and need services. So we do conduct a by name list and just try to make sure we're providing services.
Sure. Thank you for that. So 30 veterans already identified right here in the city as being homeless, possibly more. Can we talk specifically about what services that the YWCA offers or can connect veterans with? So either of you can answer that.
So the YWCA has been serving veterans since 2006. A lot of times when people think of the YWCA, probably veteran services isn't the first thing that comes to mind. But we fortunately are able to provide a lot of services for veterans. So we have housing programs, we have short-term housing programs, we have prevention programs. So if someone may be at risk of being evicted or behind on their rent, we can help with that. We have long-term housing programs where we have partnered with different apartment communities in the city of Harrisburg and Dauphin County that work with us to place veterans in long-term housing. We also have employment programs here as well, so we can provide anything from job searching assistance, resume building, interview skills. We actually do job placements, and where we're able to provide veterans with things like cell phones that they may not be able to get on their own, bus passes. If they are hired on a job, we're able to purchase items for them that they may need. So we really have a lot of different housing and employment programs here that are available to them.
It's wonderful to know that those resources are available. They're available right here. That they can we can have access to those through the YWCA. And I think you're right. I'm not sure that everyone in the public knows that those resources are there and that you're the place to go. So if I'm watching this at home, obviously you're doing outreach to the homeless community in Harrisburg as part of the coalition. But if I happen to know somebody who could benefit from those benefits, what's the best way to connect with you and to help connect veterans to the resources you offer?
Right now, the best thing would probably be for someone to just give us a call here at the YWCA. The telephone number is 717-234-7931. That'll put you right at our front desk, and you can just ask to speak with someone in the Veterans Department. And there's always somebody here, so there will always be someone that can answer the phone. Prior to COVID, not so much right now, but we would accept walk-ins. So anyone could just kind of come up to the building and ask for assistance at the front desk, and we would sit down and meet with them. You could also check out our website, which is ywcahbg.org. And you can find everything that we provide for veterans on that website as well. There's also, as Abby mentioned before, the Capital Area Coalition on Homelessness. It's CACH, which is CACH.org.
It's CACHPA.org.
My apologies. But you can also pull up that website. We are on there as well, along with other community partners that people would be able to reach out to for assistance.
Great, thanks. We'll help get all those links and contacts out. I want to end with on a serious note and talk a little bit about a problem which I know is a real problem, which has to do with suicide rates among veterans. If I suspect or am concerned that a veteran may be suicidal, what do I do?
Well, the best thing to do is to ask direct questions. If you ask someone if they have a plan to kill themselves, you definitely want to make sure that you address that immediately. Calling 911 obviously is the first choice, but you can also contact the Vets Crisis Line. That telephone number is 1-800-273-8255, and you would just press 1 when you get on there, and you would be connected with someone immediately. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could also text. There's a text phone number, which would be 838-255, and someone would contact you immediately from there as well. There's also a website out there called Psych Armor. They provide a free training. It's about 30 minutes long. It's called their SAVE training. Anyone can take that. Anyone can do that and take about 30 minutes of your time. That will help you properly react if you're addressed with a veteran who may be suicidal.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And Abigail, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to add on this topic?
I think that's all been discussed very well. And definitely, if there's anyone that needs help, definitely give us a call and we'll be willing to talk to you. And if for some reason we're not able to help, we'll definitely get connected to resources that would better be able to assist.
Okay, well, I want to thank you both, and stick around because we may have some questions here from the audience at the end of Facebook Live. And we're going to turn now to Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania. And by way of introduction, I think I'll just read this statement about Veterans Outreach. Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania is a regionally established 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization that intends to build a village of tiny homes surrounding a community center that genuinely replicates the network and support system that men and women had before they left the military, with on-site wraparound services. This program model is specifically designed to meet veterans' unique needs while recreating the stable support network last offered to them before they left the service. It's modeled after other successful programs throughout the United States, and I've had a chance to learn more about this program and talk specifically about the plans for Harrisburg. I'm very excited about them and want to share them with the wider audience here today. And as I mentioned before, we are very pleased to have distinguished spokesperson Brigadier General Wilbur Wolff joining us today. General Wolff, it is not often that we have the honor of a general on our community conversation, so thank you for being here. Let's start with, what makes this model of a tiny home community for veterans, more successful than other types of programs for veterans? And maybe describe the model just generally a little bit more for us.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for the opportunity for all of us that have an opportunity to speak today on the eve, figuratively, of Veterans Day. In terms of what makes what we are proposing to do special, let me give a little bit of background from my vantage point. I think probably Evan and Emily and other veterans who are on or are getting ready to chime in, will be able to echo some of this, but. The basic description, I think, as you laid out a little bit, is a series of tiny homes surrounding a community center on a campus that is specifically built to address those needs of veterans who, for some reason, whatever that reason may be, psychological, physical, mental, emotional, for whatever reason, ended up in a tough place after they left the service. I'm going to go through a little bit of the background that sometimes brings some of those veterans, some of us, to that point, and then talk a little bit about what makes that special. In terms of that background, I think as all of us as veterans know, the leaving home, the training, the deploying, the fighting, it can be very, very difficult. It can be physically and emotionally stressful. Some folks, some of our fellow veterans come back with visible wounds. Some come back, probably many more come back with invisible wounds, those things that are in our head and under our skin that can't be easily observed. And although those things about leaving and fighting can be very difficult, one of the more difficult things that happens during this cycle is the coming home. So the coming home and the ability to reintegrate into what we would, our fellow citizens would know as normal society, coming home and reintegrating with family members, coming home, particularly when we talk about our reserve component soldiers who may enter into service, deploy, come back, enter back into service, deploy, and come back on multiple occasions. That can be a very, very difficult thing to be able to turn that switch off and on repeatedly. So that reunification and the reintegration becomes very, very difficult. It's difficult for both the service member and difficult on the family. It can be difficult on friends and other members of the community. So when that veteran comes back, when we come back, it's a very complex solution because at the very same time, what a veteran is looking for a sense of control, something they probably haven't had for a period of time through training, deployment, and those combat scenarios. They're looking to be able to control their own destiny, make some of their own decisions. They're looking for that little bit of independence and self-determination. But we also have a need for structure because that was built into our period of training, our period of getting ready to go, our period of being overseas, our period of being away at some garrison post. So we need that structure and we need predictability. And finally, I think what we all continue to need is in some way to be part of a team. We were part of a team when we entered into the service. We were part of a team when we were away from home and deployed somewhere. But oftentimes when we come back or when we leave the service, that sense of team can be very difficult. And it's a little bit of a fine line, but we also want to be a member of a team on our own terms. We want to be able to define how much of that teamwork we want to be able to have. So what makes the proposal for the tiny home village that we're proposing just south of Harrisburg a little bit special is we think it provides a pathway to all of those things. And in a very general characterization, and again, this is in no way meant to be negative to anybody who is in some of these domains, but I'll equate it to, say, the difference between a nursing home environment and a independent elder living facility, wherein in a nursing home, people will be close together all of the time and very tightly controlled. But in an elder care community, the elder individuals who are there have a sense of independence. They probably have a little bit of independent living. There's still plenty of services available, yet all of those services can be provided as they wish, not necessarily as a requirement. So in this in the structure that we're proposing, the tiny home itself, what that provides, it provides a safe place and a safe space for the veteran. It's a place that they can control a bit. You see, I think popping up on your screen, the red and blue, somewhat obviously tiny homes there. There'll be a veteran who will have that as their home for some period of time. And Tom will talk about some of that duration a little bit later. In that space, they're able to control their coming and going. They're able to control the way that they live and the way that they control that space. The community center that you'll see to the right of your screen is a place that we were able to then bring folks together to allow the veterans to reintegrate as members of a team, and it will also be the nexus of where we're able to provide services. The services themselves, every single veteran will have a plan to get from where they are now to where we mutually agree that they need to be in the future. And then finally, the thing that I think will make this very special is that in all of those tiny homes that you see around the heart shape, in each of those tiny homes will be another veteran. Will be another veteran who is probably undergoing some things that are similar. So each one of these veterans are able to look across the courtyard or walk to the next tiny home, and they can share and commiserate and talk about their plan and their way ahead. And as it regards to the services, one thing I wanted to be able to add is that I think that I could probably get a head nod from each of the other veterans on here. There's nothing, I don't think there's a single veteran who doesn't understand what a training plan is. So each one of these veterans will have a training plan to be able to get them from their entry point in, whether, for example, if they came in via the pathway that Abigail and Emily talked about, Abigail and I just forgot your name.
Ashley.
Abigail and Ashley, thank you very much. Talking about the pathway of Abigail and Ashley coming in through the YMCA or other pathways, that training plan will take them from there to the time that the veteran is able to re-enter back into the community as a full-fledged, well-contributing member of our society. So that's a little bit about the background of it and what we think makes it a little bit different than some of the other opportunities available.
Wow, thank you, General. That's so exciting, and it really is an appealing concept, and it would be an honor to have something like that in Harrisburg. Let's drill down to exactly sort of where this is being proposed. I think if people are watching at home, they may not fully understand, and to talk specifically about how it's going to be laid out here in the city. We are joined by board member Joanne Tresco. Joanne, can you describe the project a little bit? Greater detail. Yeah.
Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania plans on building a community of 15 tiny homes, of course, and each contains a bed and a half bath and a small desk and a small sitting area. And that's going to be surrounding our 6,000 square foot community center. All of that is on a 5-acre plot of land just south of the PennDOT building. Mm-hmm. The community center will be the focal point, of course, of daily life for the veteran, where they'll receive, as the general indicated, customized programs for them to learn how to transition to living a productive, independent life. This community-based model of keeping veterans connected to others is not new. It's fashioned after similar operational and effective programs currently operating elsewhere in the country.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joanne. And just to give people a little more background specifically about where we are, we're in an area of Harrisburg which is hard to develop. It's currently undeveloped land. The Greenbelt will work very successfully with this, and I know that you have support from the Greenbelt Association for the project. I know you've also reached out to the Shy Poke neighbors, and they've been generally supportive of the project as well. The project, I think, is only at the beginning stages of being introduced to the Planning Commission and the planning process in Harrisburg. But maybe you could talk just a little bit as a follow-up about your timing and your hopes for how quickly this project could come to fruition.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is Tom Zimmerman, and I think I'd like to take that.
Okay.
So when we're talking about planning and where we see in the timeline that we want to move forward, we're hoping that in early 2021, maybe mid 2021, we'll be able to start construction. Of course, we're working with the city planners and the zoning and the variances and as we had our first meeting, I think on Wednesday, we will continue to work with them and as we move forward and with our legal counsel, our engineering, and also our architectural firm.
Yeah, it's exciting. Again, it's in an area which has to be carefully, designed, and there are many issues you're working through. But let's talk about cost for a second, and what does a project like this cost, and how are you fundraising to make it successful?
So the cost of the design to develop the land plan, engineering, running easements, also putting in the utility lines, taking them from the current PennDOT area down to our location is going to cost $3.5 million. And we plan on launching a capital campaign in the near future. We're hoping that by early 2021, we will be announcing that, and the project will be funded through charitable donations, and including corporate contributions, grants, and private individuals. And there will be naming rights to the project itself. So we're working on that and putting a project together with our consultant and the other 8 board members that I have at the Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania. And we're excited and we're looking forward to it.
That's great. I can hear. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement out there for this project, and there'll be a lot of people interested in helping to support you in funding it. We've talked a lot about the needs of veterans and many of the services that are available, and why a village like this is important. But can you talk a little bit more specifically about the types of special services you envision happening right here at the village in Harrisburg?
Yes, sir. Through the fulfillment of VOPA's mission, homeless veterans in Dauphin County will really have a great choice of options to best meet their physical, behavioral, and social needs. Those options will include access to direct services from VOPA's case managers and staff, as well as visiting service providers, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Dauphin County Veterans Court, mainstream agencies, grassroots and veterans organizations, and other collaborative partners yet to be identified. This team approach and client-centric focus, of course, will promote the delivery of efficient services to meet the unique needs of every single veteran.
Well, thank you again for sharing your vision with us a little bit here this morning. I feel like we're getting a bit of a preview for what is to come. I know you haven't started the full-fledged capital campaign yet, but if people are watching and they want to be involved in this project, register their support, make a contribution, what is the best way for the community to get involved and to contact your organization?
Thank you. And the way that we would like them to communicate is through our website. Our website address is www.veteransoutreachofpa.org. Again, that's www.veteransoutreachofpa.org. On that website, there's a donation page that you can, of course, make a monetary donation. All donations are greatly welcomed, as well as you can sign up as volunteers. You can get involved as a community and sign up for volunteer. I know that we have a CRM system that we're working on and categorizing, as well as we're going to be putting out updates and keeping everybody informed, and hopefully as in monthly news e-letters. So if you have a specialty and you're an electrician and you want to sign up and you want to be, possibly as a service person to help out, then we recommend that you contact us. There's a contact page. We will store the information, and when we're ready, then we'll be able to utilize, all the volunteers that we have.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for those updates, and please stick around. There may be some questions here from the audience as we get to the end of our Facebook Live community conversation. But we wanted to turn now and profile two of our newer, not the newest, they've been here for a while, but some of the newer city employees that are veterans and individuals that maybe you don't know or you haven't met in the course of their work at the city. And we're going to start in the Solicitor's Office in the Law Bureau with Emily Farron. And Emily, let's start with a little bit of a personal profile. Can you talk a little bit about your background, which branch of the military you served with, and what motivated you to go into the military to begin with?
Mayor, thanks so much for having me today. And as you said, I am a relatively new city employee. I started with the city of Harrisburg in July. In the Law Bureau, we have a small team of lawyers and a legal assistant. I served full-time active duty in the United States Army midway in my bachelor's degree. I had changed my major several times and decided that I needed a little bit more direction in my life before continuing. So I joined the military at the age of 19. My grandfather had joined the Marine Corps. He convinced his parents to allow him to join when he was 16 and served our country in the Korean War. So it was a little bit of following in the footsteps of family, and also just looking in the mirror and saying, hey, Emily, you really need to get your life together and get some direction. So that's what motivated me to join the military.
Well, we're going to talk a bit in a minute about what you do at the city, and but how would you say that the skills that you developed and worked on during the course of your military service have helped inform your current job and your current perspective?
So I really have to echo what General Wolff had said about teamwork. Things that I still do that I picked up in the military. One is I still work out really early in the morning. It gets my day started right. And two, I look for in my professional and personal life team members who I can rely on, and I hope in turn feel that they can rely on me. To show up every day, and I give my best. I expect the same from my teammates, to work collaboratively. Again, I have to echo what General Wolff said about, yes, you want to be a member of a team, but you also want to be able to be seen as fully capable to independently execute, whatever task you're working on. So those are really things that when you're in the military, you rely on the people that are in your platoon, or I served my time at Fort Riley, Kansas in the MEDAC in a pharmacy. There were about 20 to 25 of us. There were some civilian employees, and you had to every day show up and have that team mentality to serve your patients, to make sure that you were upholding the Army values that you committed to, and that everyone was taken care of.
On a personal level, was it difficult for you to transition back into civilian life after serving in the military, or talk a little bit about that, because that's been a theme of the conversation here today.
Sure. So my original contract with the United States Army was 5 years. I was medically separated after 2 years due to a training accident where I was injured and found undeployable. So my time was much shorter than I had planned, but it was still challenging to switch course and be prepared to go. I decided to go back to college at that point. And I remember sitting and out processing, and the goal of that particular meeting was to help develop a resume. And the officer who was helping me with that explained that 87% of veterans do not use, at that time it was the Montgomery GI Bill, that not only college, but different types of training that helps veterans reintegrate back into society and come up with a plan for what your next career might be. And that shocked me. I just remember sitting there thinking, wow, there are all these opportunities out there, and veterans don't know about them or don't know how to get connected to them. And so when I left the military, I used my GI Bill. I returned back, see that you're sharing a picture. This was basic training graduation. That's my sister, my older sister, Amy. My parents drove down to see me graduate from basic training. And so it was good to go back I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. I went back to Western Pennsylvania and finished my undergrad degree at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, which is in my hometown. And from there, I decided that I was going to go to law school. So I toured all of the law schools in Pennsylvania, and when I came to tour Widener and Harrisburg, it just seemed like a really good fit. I knew I wanted to pursue a legal career in nonprofit or government sector. I spent, so I've been in the Harrisburg area primarily since 2013. And I've done internships and worked at both local and state government, and as I actually worked at the YWCA as well.
Yeah, that's a great connection. So let's talk a little bit. Tell people what you do at the city, and I think they will be perhaps very interested to know the work that you're engaged in.
Sure. So I was hired as the assistant city solicitor for collections. So mostly my plate looks like trying to help people, both residential and commercial accounts, come up to speed on their sanitation accounts, or if they have an outstanding tax issue, if they're going to a property closing, anything like that is primarily what I do. But as I said earlier, we have a small group of really fantastic attorneys who have all taken me under their wing and really helped me develop my research and writing skills, and really any legal need that the city has, it comes into our office, and we work together to come up with a solution for the city.
Sure, there's so much to do on a daily basis with the Law Bureau, and I'm sure it's interesting government sector work. Yeah, you are, however, as you mentioned, responsible for creating settlements and helping collect past due balances and things like that. Could you take just a moment and explain what a lien is and how liens are applied?
Sure. So the Pennsylvania Tax Claim and Municipal Act allows city services to file municipal liens against the property. The named person is the owner of the property, but it's really placing an encumbrance against your property for any outstanding bills. So that could be your tax bill, or here in the city of Harrisburg, the city provides trash services to its residents, and the commercial account holders have, either dumpsters or large trash containers. And when those bills continue to accrue, one, they get penalty and interest, not right now because of COVID, but generally speaking, you will see interest and penalty accrue on your account, and we take action against the property by liening your property. That is after we've exhausted all other remedies with the property owner. We try to contact you and get you to come into compliance. We are happy to work with you about any outstanding balance that you might have before we take that drastic measure, but that is something that we do here in the city.
That's right, and people may also encounter you in the courtroom. I know you've gotten a chance to experience firsthand what the district justice system is like here in the city of Harrisburg. Do you have any reflections on that you'd like to share?
Sure. So as in addition to filing liens against the property, we also file civil suit against people at the Mr. MDJ's office, depending on one of my coworkers does code violations, and those appeals are then taken at the Dauphin County Courthouse. The tax enforcement office is seen at the MDJ's office, and you will see your outstanding trash bills there as well, if that is an avenue that the city decides to take.
Well, thanks for sharing, Emily, because I think I don't know how much people really know about those aspects of government work and how things are happening behind the scenes. I know, speaking on behalf of the administration, that we're really lucky to have you. Very pleased with all the talent we have in our law bureau and all the many things that we're negotiating and dealing with on a daily basis. So thanks for telling us a little bit about your story and your time in the military. It was very informative. We're going to go now to Evan Rubin, who is our GIS administrator here for the city of Harrisburg. And Evan, before we talk about what it is that you do and what GIS is, let's start with the same question I had for Emily, which is which branch of the military did you serve in, and when did you serve, and why did you decide to go into the military to begin with?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for having me on. I served in the Army National Guard from 2010 to 2016. And the reason I joined was to serve my country and to be a part of something that's greater than myself. I think the Army really sort of developed me into my position today. And I think at a young age, that can be very important sort of growing up. And I think it really sort of gave a good impression on me sort of right out of high school.
Yeah, and what skills and takeaways would you say from your service did you take and bring to your current position here at the city of Harrisburg?
I think the main skill is extreme ownership. There's a good book actually by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership, and it talks about taking ownership of your mistakes in order to build trust at the team level. It's really hard to develop that trust if you sort of blame others for your mistakes, for something you may have messed up on, even if it was a small item. I think taking extreme ownership and responsibility for your actions really helps sort of instill that on others in your team, whether it's in IT or whether it's in family life. Taking ownership of those mistakes is really important in building a strong community, strong camaraderie, and kind of building a strong foundation for whatever organization you're a part of.
Yeah, and how did you become interested in information technology as a career path?
Well, to be perfectly honest, back many years ago, I really found Google Maps and Google Earth back in high school to be very interesting, and I wanted to kind of combine that interest into basically discover what that really was. And I found out about a GIS program at the Millersville University, and that's where I got my my bachelor's degree. And then I transitioned into a master's degree at the University of Wisconsin, where I graduated last year.
Yes, and we snatched you right up. So tell us if people are watching and they don't know what GIS is. What is GIS? Let's start with just a little basic introduction to that, and then we can talk more specifically about some of the things you're doing for the city.
Yeah, so GIS stands for Geographic Information Science, or Geographic Information Systems. By combining software and tons of raw data, we can help determine why geographic location is important in Harrisburg. This data helps city leaders make important decisions. For example, whether it's a city planner using GIS to determine the floodplains and where properties exist in those floodplains, whether it's a city engineer looking to determine the high injury network in Harrisburg to locate where the most crash-prone streets are or aren't, or if it's our firefighters using GIS to determine the activity of illegal fireworks and hopefully determine patterns and help enforcement and educational efforts in those areas. I have a quick note here. Back in the summer, we saw approximately 55% of illegal firework activity occur in just 2 general locations. And this was found through a survey, a GIS survey, to help locate people to report where these activities were being done at.
Yeah, thanks for that. And that initiative was born right here on this show in Community Conversations when we were dealing with how people could sort of stem the tide of these illegal fireworks. We partnered with the Young Professionals of Color who helped us engage in this GIS mapping activity to really chart where the fireworks were going on. It was an example of your versatility because we were able to get that up and running very quickly and then use that data for educational and enforcement purposes. It was a very, very successful thing. And you mentioned some other aspects of floodplain management and our high injury network. That high injury network ties well to the slides that we saw at the beginning of the program, which was our workers out there increasing lighting in certain areas that have shown an increase in traffic-related fatalities. So, but maybe you can share some of your work with us now, Evan. I understand you may have some links to some maps. Go ahead.
Go ahead and share here. So if you can see my screen, this is, as was mentioned at the beginning of the show, the high injury network in the city of Harrisburg. And this is a GIS map that was created using PennDOT data. And it might be difficult to see here, but the roads that are highlighted in a darker red or maybe an orange are streets that are more crash prone. You can see here parts of State Street here and Cameron Street running through here. And so GIS allows us to visualize this data in a public facing application.
Yes, now I know where to find that map because I'm familiar with the Vision Zero HBG website. But generally speaking, how does one access your data in these maps?
Yes, so on the home page, I'll transition here. From the city homepage, under top pages and under maps and under GIS Hub, which is our main storage location for a lot of our interactive maps available publicly, you can see our various applications, whether it's street cleaning areas, Harrisburg organizations, or Vision Zero updates, our 2019 update. or our street closures map, or various other resources here that are publicly available today. So you can go onto harrisburgpa.gov, go under top pages, maps, and then the GIS data hub, which is the housing website for a lot of our applications.
Oh, that's really exciting, and I hope people now realize just how much information is available if they go and look for it. Do you want to talk? Well, first of all, is the police district map up there? Is that something which you can link to for us? While you're doing that, I'll just say that I ask you that because it's been a topic of conversation at recent council meetings. They're going to be voting on Bill 8 on Tuesday, and one of the provisions of that bill is that there's representation by district, and a lot of folks didn't quite realize where the districts were in the city of Harrisburg and what the boundaries are. So that's a resource that they can go to the website and find. And there it is. Yeah.
My screen should be up right now.
Very good.
So this was under the on the homepage, harrisburgpa.gov, and under there's a policy button, use of force policy button on the homepage. And there is a link to the Harrisburg Police District's map. You'll see here, this is an interactive map available on mobile or on your home computer. And you can essentially type in, the main function is to just view these districts and type in your address, top right, to see maybe which district you fall under. So I typed in here 10 North 15th Street. You can see that gave a location here in District 5.
That's great. That's going to be really helpful for people as they may be applying to serve on the board, and we're making sure that we have an equal geographic distribution among all the districts. We're almost out of time, Evan, but can you talk about some of the things you're currently working on, maybe with departments? I know you've got some exciting partnership with economic development. There's a lot going on there, but anything that you want to talk about that maybe we have to look forward to moving forward here?
Yes, so we're working towards a lead paint registry, a public lead paint registry, so we can see all of the buildings or properties that have been cleared of lead-based paint in Harrisburg. So that's something that's starting up recently and will be publicly available. I'm working with our housing folks to work on that.
Okay, well that's great. That's exciting. And if people want to reach out to you, I assume they can do so directly, especially if they have ideas and comments or anything else they'd like to see from a GIS standpoint. So thanks, Evan, for joining us. Well, Moment, I'm going to turn it over to you because we've had a great discussion this morning. So many things. I bet there's a lot of interest out there among the public.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First question I'll send to Ashley and Abigail. For someone who knows of a homeless veteran in need of help, what's the best way they can connect that veteran with the YWCA? You had mentioned some contact information earlier. If you can share that again with the viewers.
So again, they can come to us here directly at the YWCA. We are located at Cameron and Market Street, the big building up on the hill. Our contact number is 717-234-7931. That gets you right to the front desk of the building. All you have to do is ask to speak with someone in the Veterans Department, and there will be someone here to answer the phone. They can also go to our website, which is ywcahbg.org, and check out, it has all of our veteran services listed there as well.
Okay, great.
Coalition on Homeless page, that is the cachpa.org, and that's just for a lot of the homeless resources as well for both veterans and mainstream services. And then for the Veterans Crisis Line, if they're ever in need of that, that is the 1-800-273-8255. 8255 and just press 1 for veterans. And then they can also text to it's 838255.
Great. That's great information. Next question is for Thomas. Will there be an application to get a tiny house in the village, and how would one get approved?
Yes, that's a great question. Right now, there will be an application. The applications are being created by our subcommittee in the business policies and procedures. We are working on creating what we call the Bill of Rights. We'll be creating the application, and the applications then will be reviewed on the board of directors. And if for some reason the veteran does not qualify based on our criteria in the transitional community that we're trying to accept, we will work with them and put them where they need to be, and work with other existing organizations located in the Harrisburg area. One thing I want to add, though, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but I want to thank all the veterans that are on here, Emily and Evan, and also Joanne. Joanne, we didn't say anything, but she has 34 years as a Master Sergeant in the PA National, in the Army. So thank you guys all for your services, and we appreciate it.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you all for your service. And the last comment is from Steve. He just wants to let viewers know about another organization in the region that helps veterans, and that is Just for Today Recovery and Veterans Center in Lemoyne. So thank you, Steve, for that.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you again to all the guests, and again, thank all the veterans both on the show and watching and everywhere for their service to our country. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Veterans Day holiday this coming Wednesday. Remember, City Hall and other services in the city will be closed in honor and observance of the holiday. And again, I want to thank all our guests and say that next week we return to the topic of policing. So that's been a hot button topic, and I think a lot of folks would like to know the results of the 8 Can't Wait campaign. We will probably know the results of the vote on Bill 8, and we're also going to meet our new command staff and team for our newly proposed Community Services Division, which is going to come forward as part of the budget proposal in November. So it should be a very exciting show next week. Until next week, I'm Mayor Eric Papenfuss saying thank you for watching. If it's Friday at noon, it's Facebook Live and Community Conversations right here in the city of Harrisburg. Stay safe, everyone. Be well, and we'll see you next week.